Good start to the show. On mute. How's the form? Merry Christmas to everybody watching. Hope you have a lovely Christmas. I've got three wonderful presents. First off, Colin Cronin. Secondly, Brian O'Leary. And thirdly, Mark Cockerell. Ladies, Merry Christmas. How we doing? Good?
Very good. Yeah, it's Christmas. We've got a veritable feast of football. We are clearly playing Twister as we move around the board. But yeah, lots of good food to look forward to, plenty of drink, and lots of good football as well.
I'm a bit taken back by Column's top, but I'm sure they'll get used to it as the show goes on. Fantastic lineup of games for this St. Stephen's Day ahead of us. Normally a day that you kind of think about football and horse racing, but the fact that the NFL is on later that evening kind of rounds out a great day and some really significant games in the lineup in terms of who's going to make the playoffs.
Brian, you should know by now to have sunglasses at the ready whenever I'm going to be on screen.
I thought I used them earlier today when I was looking at your photograph of the dog and the tree.
Yeah, gents, Feliz Navidad, Joyeux Noel, Nolig Hana. Merry Christmas, everybody. Isn't it great? The big fat red man is nearly here.
Rex Ryan.
Colin, well, no, I'm not talking about you, Michael. Don't worry. I'm not being like that. I wouldn't be mean. I'm really not. But Colin, I have to ask, can you find the what is on that jumper? I can't read what it says. It looks a bit disconcerting. Can you find the droids? Okay, that is spectacular. That is spectacular. That's the best way to kick off Christmas, I think.
Completely lost normal mark when it comes to any film references. I've no idea what that is that I'm looking at.
That's
presented by Trust Gaming, presented by Matchbook Betting Exchange. Matchbook offer at the minute, Irish NFL show code gets you £20, €20 in free bets at the minute. If not, money back, T's and T's apply, be gamble aware, 18 plus, etc. Just very quickly in regards to that, Boxing Day as well on Sunday.
Apologies to our fans in the north and the UK.
In the north. But yeah, here, great slate of games. Looking forward to. I actually like your jumper, Colin. It looks very festive, unlike mine, which is orange and coloured in trees. Anyway, 2 games on Christmas night. How are we all going to pull it to the missus, to the wives, to the significant others, however, that at 9:25 or so on Christmas night, the Green Bay Packers are playing against the Browns? How are we going to do it? Are we going to feed them full of turkey all day and pretend that, oh yeah, put the TV on there and let them sleep and then put it on? Or what's the plan?
Well, I'll give you 2 things, Michael. First of all, my wife wouldn't be eating turkey because she's a vegetarian. And second of all, on Stephen's Day is my daughter's 5th birthday. So not only am I Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, I'm also then putting decorations on the following evening for her birthday and getting the presents wrapped and ready. So it's a double whammy for me, but don't worry, I'll be still watching the Packers. I'm not giving the pick away just yet.
I'd just like to share with all you gentlemen the eternal cuddle and Game Pass move, which involves a cuddle while you're watching a film over here, but secretly Game Pass in the hand and mobile phone. And
you need the TV on. You need it live, uninterrupted, etc. I agree. Anyway, let's get to the game. This is a great game. 7-7 Browns need to win a game. That was a great game on Monday night as well. Monday evening, sorry. Obviously, the Raiders get it last minute, column, last second field goal. But great game. 11-3 Packers. Do you think they round up and get to 12 on Christmas night?
Well, that was, I'd say the Browns are feeling disgusted with themselves to have left that one behind on Monday. All the injuries that they had, and yet they were right there and they could have had it and they could be sitting at 8-6 on the way to Lambeau. You don't want to be going into Lambeau in mid-December looking for a win against a Packers team that have been really outstanding at times this year. We saw Davante Adams getting double coverage, triple coverage at times, but the Packers still finding a way to get it done against the Ravens. Now, Huntley went and duelled with Aaron Rodgers, but ultimately the Packers prevailed. Mark has said it contractually, they cannot lose another regular season game under Matt LaFleur. They lose 3. That seems to be how it goes, but they don't lose at Lambeau. And even though they have the NFC North title wrapped up, they will want the number 1 seed. They want everything to run through Lambeau. They do not want to be leaving that. So to me, they will be looking to put a marker down. The latest I heard was that Baker Mayfield will not test out of the COVID protocols. It will end on Saturday, so he will very likely have to travel to this game separately. He will play, but having to travel separately, not having had the opportunity to practice, I think won't help a situation. And the Browns season, which at one point looked like they were definitely destined for the playoffs, is going to come down to the last couple of games, because for me, the Packers are moving to 12-3.
Mark called it out on Tuesday's show. Browns win on Monday night, they're top of the division. Right now, they're sitting at the bottom of the division. That's how competitive that division is. You touched on Davante Adams going up against Denzel Ward, probably one of the better players this year for the Browns. Cornerback, 4th pick in the 2017 draft. On his day, can shut down most players, but it's hard to see how he's going to do that with a team that's putting up 30 points plus. 4 of the last 5 games, the Packers have put up over 30 points, and you wonder where the points are going to come from for the Browns, because even last week, I know it was a different situation with Nick Mullins, but prior to that, when they did have Mayfield, they've only put up 17, an average 17 points per game. Can't see it. Aaron Rodgers has the highest passer rating in all his career against the Cleveland Browns and hasn't been broken since 1950. Packers for me.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, huge credit to the Browns, the organization, the coaching, the players that stepped in for that performance on Monday night. Yes, they lost, but to run it so close, given the disruption they'd had to their preparation at various levels of the organization, various levels of the position, was an achievement in itself. Unfortunately, the NFL doesn't do Pyrrhic victories. It only really does actual victories. So staying at 500 in that AFC North, staying at 500, given all of the pushing and shoving and jostling that's about to occur for the last few AFC playoff spaces in the wildcard race, just isn't good enough. The Browns need this game. There's no doubt about it. But of all the teams to be coming up against, Aaron Rodgers, big primetime game. Everyone's watching on Christmas Day. It's at Lambeau. It doesn't get much worse, to be absolutely honest with you. And frankly, the Packers, and we talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, are the most complete team in the NFL at the moment. Yes, their special teams looks a little bit of a liability. And yes, we talked about it with Jeff Reinbold only a couple of days ago on the show, that the, how do I say this nicely? The offensive line keeps ticking, even though it's very makeshift. It's maybe one injury away from just being that straw that broke the camel's back when you think of how many people they've lost along the line during the season. Bakhtiari hasn't played at all, Jenkins, Turner, etc. It's close, but they can run the ball. Their defense is solid. They've got Aaron Rodgers. They've got Davante Adams. It's going to be more than enough. Green Bay for me all the way.
Green Bay. Browns aren't going to win this game. Come on. They're not going to win this game. What have they done in the last month to suggest they're going to win this game? They've done really, really well against the Raiders on Monday night to take it that far. Even when they got close to the end of the game, they still mess it up. They're not going to Lambeau. They're not going to turn it on for 30 seconds like the Bears did a few weeks ago. Seen the Bears the other night to see what they're like. Not going to happen with the Browns. I'm sorry, boys, but the Packers are going to win this comfortably. And I wish it was a closer game, because it's Christmas night. We'd all be sleeping by midnight. Not me. But, you know what I mean? No.
Well, Michael, all I just want to say is, Denzel starred in the film Remember the Titans, but maybe we should all remember the Lions as well. It's never beyond the realms of possibility. So maybe the ghost of Christmas present can haunt Green Bay.
The Packers at times this season have struggled against tight ends. David Njoku in Monday's game was, he had a touchdown rule there. He actually had a reasonably good game, and the Raiders struggled to hold them down at times. But Chubb, it has to be Chubb. Chubb's, for me, he's the X factor here. They need him to have a really strong game, and he hasn't done it of late. He hasn't run to in terms of the expectations of what we saw last year. But if they were to get him going, use the clock, keep it low scoring to a certain extent, and hang in the game to the fourth quarter, who knows? But you're putting up little reasons, but realistically, do you believe in them? Probably no. Unfortunately, Packers are moving on, and they're not far away. And the games we've got left after that, Vikings at home, Lions away, number 1 seed in the offing.
And Njoku done well. And Duke Johnson as well. Mark, never compare me to Santa ever again. Yeah, because I can do a lot of things in a short amount of time.
I really wasn't, Michael. I really wasn't.
I'm joking. Christmas cheer is here for all to.
I'll share one quick story. The only time I've ever done Santa was for an office Christmas party after 24 hours of solid drinking, and Santa's breath probably sent the kids to sleep after they visited the grotto. So I was never asked to do it again. I can't imagine why.
You were never asked to return to the job again either.
When the NFL looked at these Christmas games months in advance, they obviously did. They must have thought, let's put on some damn good games, because at the time we didn't think the Browns would be sitting 7-7. But this game is intriguing for me. The Colts, the Cardinals, 8-6 Colts after a tremendous performance last weekend against the Patriots. There's no other way to put it for me. Going up against a Cardinals team, Colin, that are coming back from a very poor performance against Detroit. You couldn't really write this. It's a great matchup.
Well, it'll be an interesting one, and I think if I'm the Colts and if I'm Jonathan Taylor and I'm looking at a team whose defense ranks 17th against the run, I know what the game plan might be, because you can know it's coming, but you just can't seem to slow Taylor down. And we discussed it with Jeff on Thursday. If the Patriots and Hightower can't get to him, it'll be interesting to see what Vance Joseph can maybe scheme up to endeavor to slow him down. The Cards are having, thrown it away in ways against the Rams with crazy penalties. They were just beaten up by the Lions, and that's not a great sign that they were never able to get back into it. And they pulled Kyler Murray, Pro Bowler Kyler Murray, which definitely makes you wonder about the Pro Bowl this year. But I would say that again, form tends to come into it, and I think the Colts are going to really want this. The Colts are going to look at it. They're going to have seen, I suppose, at this point what the Titans will have done on Thursday, and no matter whether the Titans win or lose, the Colts need to win. And I think the momentum is with the Colts, and I think that they'll all be on Jonathan Taylor, and I think he will have enough to carry them through. There are issues with their O-line, obviously. Their kind of star center had family tragedy this week. Don't know if he'll play, but I think that his teammates are going to rally round, even if he isn't there. And for me, the Colts are winning this.
Yeah, Colin's mentioned the key word this time of the season: momentum. And like where the Cards were 7-0, they've lost 4 of their last 7. The Colts have won 8 of their last 11. Cards have lost 3 home games in a row. The Colts have won 3 games on the road in a row. Jonathan Taylor going up against a run defense that's been a bit shabby for, as Colin alluded to, for majority of the season. I know, like, we've seen games in the past where we haven't expected the Cards to come back and win games, and it's look, they're up there for a good reason. But for me, the Colts team are going in the right direction, despite Wentz, who I felt in the second half last week didn't play very well. The offensive line played really well last week, which could have stifled that Patriots rush. But I thought in the second half, Wentz was poor. His decision-making was indecisive, and we see that again in this game. He mightn't get away with it, but I think the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, they have enough there. The defense is probably a little bit underrated in terms of how they're playing at the moment. So for me, great game to have on. I wish it was the earlier game, but I might hang around for it, and I think the Colts will win, and we call them on this.
I mean, Brian, Carson Wentz didn't play bad in the second half. Carson Wentz played bad, just generally.
I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be nice, Mark.
What?
I was trying to be nice.
Are you trying to be nice? Oh,
Christmas cheer for the Colts fans.
Well, it must be Christmas. Why are you changing the habit of a lifetime? So no, Carson Wentz is the weak link. If Anne Robertson was here, she'd be telling them goodbye pretty swiftly. And already the rumors start about, well, what are the Colts going to do at quarterback next season? Because the Colts absolutely could be in play for any number of the big free agent quarterbacks who are doing the rounds, and they've got everything else nicely in place. So if you're an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell, these guys, there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk about Denver. Why is there not as much talk about India? Because it's definitely been proved that Carson Wentz isn't the long-term solution, albeit he's been enough of a solution to make sure he's going to cost the Colts that first-round pick, which is going to go to Philly, and they're going to end up with 3 in that regard. But for me, look, the real story, question, inherent point here is if I hark back to my Shakespeare and say, but soft what light through yonder window breaks, it is the east, and Juliet is the sun. When Romeo was wooing Juliet, she swooned at his feet. And that's what we've got going on in Arizona. They're swooning in the sun because they have lost their last 2. They've lost, as Brian said, 3 of the last 4. It is not the direction of travel they want to be going in. And the Colts are the last team they want to be seeing at this point in the season. They seem to be relying last while on just Kyler Murray working some magic. The momentum at the start of the season has gone. They called it last week. It's a bit like the Steelers last year. It seems that the wheels are coming off the wagon at just the wrong time of the season. Yes, they'll make the playoffs, but they need to really get the wheels back on the wagon. I can't see it happening. I've got the Colts continuing their surge, and therefore I'm picking the Colts to win this game.
What a difference a couple of weeks can make. If you told me last Saturday morning that the Colts would be going into this game as favourites, I would have laughed at you. We were sitting here 2 weeks ago. I said it. I don't know if you boys said it, but I said, Kyler Murray, isn't it great that he's getting some time on the bench to chill out, freshen up, get ready for a big run? It hasn't helped him whatsoever. Last weekend in Baltimore, there was a reporter sitting beside me, and I'm not going to say what he or she said, but the talk of that team whenever they were getting beat by the Lions was just unreal. And they didn't get beat by the Lions. They lost 30-12 to the Detroit Lions. I don't really need much more. After seeing the heart and the desire from the Colts team last weekend, albeit it was in Indianapolis, this game's going to be in Arizona, I'm taking the Colts. I think DeForest Buckner is going to destroy that Cardinals offense on Boxing Day. I'm trying to say St. Stephen's Day, but I'll keep getting them mixed up. But for me, there is an element of, let's say here, let's hand it off to Jonathan Taylor. You need to see more of that offense for the Colts. But I love the line. We need to get Eric Fisher in the show, Mark. Yeah, at some point over the next few months. But the Colts for me, I actually think comfortably, and I did not think I would say that 4 to 6 weeks ago.
Well, what I would say is when we were in London the first weekend, when we had the Orlando one, and we discussed the Colts, we felt even at 1-3 going into week 5, we felt that there was a team there in the making that could potentially push on and certainly put themselves back in the position to be a wildcard team. And right now, they're not. Looks like the division has probably gone away from them, but at the same time, certainly look like a team that could make waves in the playoffs. And for Kyler Murray, is the injury corrected? Is he back to 100%? Last year, he was averaging 7.5 yards per rush, and they're not even running it to the extent in which they were last year. And even when he does, he's only getting 3 yards. You could put that down to defenses scheming against him running the ball, but it just doesn't seem like the same makeup to what we saw last year. In terms of the mix and match of run game, him running, and then obviously the throw.
Yeah, Michael, I'm going to try something which will confuse Brian O'Leary at no end, is that there should be some good Christmas movie references in tonight's show because it's Christmas after all. So unfortunately, this being the late game, one of the rules when you acquired these creatures is that you don't feed them after midnight. The reality is the Colts are going to feed Jonathan Taylor quite a bit, and that's going to turn dark and scary and a little monster who will lead them the way. Brian, any ideas on the movie? Any ideas?
Magwai. I knew that one, Mark. Come on.
I'm completely lost. I have no idea what's going on here, boys. I'm just going to move on. This stinks of a London game. This stinks, and I remember making these graphics this morning, thinking to myself, Jesus, this will probably be a London game next year. The Lions 2-11-1, the Falcons 6-8. Colin, intrigue me, because this is a game which I will not be watching on St. Stephen's Day.
Well, I fair enough. If you're not going to, plenty will. I think Dan Campbell is one of the stories of the season in terms of a franchise that looked on course to at one point match his Lions team as going winless. But they have been gamey, and we wondered, at another point, was it not going to work? Were they not buying into it? Well, they have certainly bought into it, and you can see the response that he's had from his players. For the Falcons, it's been a case of at times very good on offense, but missing, Calvin Ridley, but finding ways. Gage has come into it and has been good at times. Their rookie tight end does what rookie tight ends tend to do. He flashes, but he's not consistent, and their defense just hasn't really been good enough. But I think they've had one of the stories. If you want intrigue, Michael, one of the reasons to watch this is Cordarrelle Patterson, who has been an X factor, I think, in the league, and genuinely across the league has been one of the most interesting players to watch. You also see other players come out and say they want a similar sort of role to him. So to me, and the fact that he doesn't get the Pro Bowl when he's been one of the stories, it means that what exactly is the Pro Bowl? Because people call it a popularity contest, right? That it's not for the best players, but it's not even for the most interesting or players either. So to me, I think he is the X factor for me in this. I think this is going to be a proper old school kind of game that I don't foresee this being a blowout. I am going with the Cardinals to win it because I like a lot of what Arthur Smith is doing. I really do think it's a work in progress. I think their O-line needs a lot of work, and the defense needs help. But AJ Terrell is another who, you would say got snubbed, and Roquan Smith at the Bears. But I think CP is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder, and for that reason, I'm going to go with the Falcons to win this.
I read a great quote at the Pro Bowl, a game selected by people who play Madden and who actually don't watch NFL throughout the season. And the final line was Aaron Donald's going to the Pro Bowl. The Falcons haven't won a game this season at home, strangely enough. They've won five of their 8 games. They've won 5 of their games on the road. They haven't won a game. That's going to get corrected in this one. Don't see the Lions, despite a little bit of spark in their offense recently, with 3 touchdowns last week by Goff to 3 different players. The game against the Vikings, Josh Reynolds, who come in during the season and has really done well for them. Not for me. I think the Falcons, Patterson will have a good day. Falcons will win.
Boys, this is really simple. This is Jack Skellington. This is the nightmare before Christmas. This game, Michael, actually was a London game, if you remember correctly, in 2014. This was the game.
Sold my tickets. Sold my tickets.
Okay.
It was. This
is the game back then when the Falcons were up 21 points and ended up losing 22-21. If we see that this weekend or anything half as entertaining, we'll be very fortunate indeed. It will be a bad set of affairs. I'm going with the Falcons, unsurprisingly, to have an.
What the hell was that? Talking about Christmas references, that was like Home Alone, the alarm going off at 12 o'clock. We done it again. Jared Goff, 275 yards. St. Brian, 80 yards on the day. Boom, 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 boom. The Lions are going to upset the Falcons and go 3-11-1 because the Falcons are absolutely not crap, but they're like, 1 week they're good, 1 week they're not. And I think they're going to have a bad week. I think people are going to be stuffed with turkey and from Boxing Day or from St. Stephen's Day in Atlanta, and they're not going to care. And I'm taking the Lions. I'm taking the Lions at a 34-27 thriller. And I will be watching the game, Colin. I'm excited for it.
Red Zone will pop in every now and then.
I'm excited. I actually think this game's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. I was joking at the start.
Mark might have fallen off his chair with the shock of you actually going for the Lions in this game.
I was shocked whenever nobody sent me the picks saying they were going to go for the Lions, because I thought after last week, after seeing the way they played against Arizona and the heart they had, this Falcons team.
I think wasn't Goff go on the COVID list during the week? He might have come off it since, but I think that's probably a lot of the concern as to why people would lean with the Falcons.
Oh God, is Goff not playing?
Goff is currently on the COVID list. He might come off.
The picks down.
Boys. You see. Do you know what?
I thought you knew that, Michael.
You have to have heart. You have to have heart, and do you know what? You have to have belief. Do you know what I mean? I'm picking the Lions anyway. It's all good, right? Mark will be back in a minute. We got to roll through some games because we've only got like an hour left here. Bucks 10-4. The Panthers 5-9. Colin, is it fitting in the only Sunday night football game I can watch in normal time this season in America that I was treated to that absolute slugfest of a game last week? What a complete disgrace by all involved. And Tom Brady acting like a little girl made it even better.
Yeah, well, they were up against the Saints, who are his kryptonite in the regular season. They're up against the Panthers in this one, and Matt Rule is not Sean Payton and Sean Payton's coaching staff. We've seen Matt Rule throw his OC under the bus. We've seen them do the QB hokey cokey, and nothing's worse. They've lost 4 games on the bounce. They're not scoring enough. Their defense has been good at times, but simply just not scoring enough, and it doesn't seem to matter who goes in at QB. I think that the Brady usually bounces back, and I expect him to bounce back. While the Saints have his number, the Panthers don't seem to have it. I have the Bucks, even with the injuries that they had, and they had quite a few injuries. But Antonio Brown, who Bruce Arians said would only have one chance, well, he's had 3 strikes and he's still not out, and that's because they desperately need him. But at least BA isn't trying to hide that. Antonio Brown will get them over the line in this one. They are going 11-4.
How good will Antonio Brown be? We've seen in the past when he's gone to different teams and he hasn't played for a month or two, he's been a bit slow to get going again. Even when he went to the Bucks initially, took him a while to get back to it. Albeit he was probably trying to get used to an offense. Evans, I like who is gone. Fournette is definitely gone. Godwin is gone. Heavy reliance on Gronk. Run game inconsistent with Jones. The Bucks haven't. You're talking about the Bucks having their way with a lot of teams. Well, they haven't beaten the Panthers 3 times in a row since 2002. Counts very little going into this game, but this defense of the Panthers, I don't think it's got the credit deserved throughout the season. It's struggled at times, in games, but by and large, they've been good. And they're ranked number 2 defense in the league for a reason. And it's probably going to be washed away by the inconsistency of the offense. Upset for me, Panthers.
I googled reggae air horn. Sorry to everyone listening to the podcast.
Waking up every tomorrow night. He was Santa's now on his way. He's heard the alert.
Do you know what? Actually, I don't have any kids, right? I love the Santa map on Google. That's class. I can't wait to look at that. This is pre-recorded. Anybody that says, why are you not live? Because it's Christmas. So it's pre-recorded. The course of the show is pre-recorded. Mark's going with the Bucks. I'm going with the Bucks. Like, who in their right mind would go with the Panthers in this game? Brady is edging for revenge, and he owes me big time after last week.
Are you gone? Did you fall out?
I'm gone. Shut up. Don't even start with that. How I lost that last week was a disgrace, but fair play to Hogan.
And just
Hogan's
to be clear as well, Colin, you're gone as well, are you? Oh, you found the way, did you?
Don't forget, Brian. It was €50 man in, so don't forget. Ravens 8-6 against the Bengals 8-6. Colin, will Mr. Harbour go 2 points for the 3rd week in a row? Will he have the balls to do it?
Oh, he absolutely would. It's John Harbaugh. He carries his cojones in a wheelbarrow. In fairness to him, he is Harbaugh.
The thoughts of Colin Cronin do not associate with the Irish NFL show, and the Irish NFL show has no affiliation with the National Football League Limited.
I don't think that's I think that's quite a compliment to Harbaugh to say what a fantastic coach he is, and you can see the way in which his players play for him. We've talked about the amount of players that they were missing. That talked about it was the backup QB that came in, and they went and they dueled with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, they came up short on the 2-pointer, but I think overall it was a pretty solid performance. And overall, all season, they've been there or thereabouts. They've won close ones and they've lost close ones. But I think if you look at their season, I think they have to be reasonably happy. The worry for them is, once again, Lamar hasn't been able to practice this week. The ankle injury is still bothering him. And I think that while Huntley is very good, he's not Lamar. And that's a huge concern. The Bengals got slowed up by the Broncos last week, but they found a way to overcome the might of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. So I think that the Bengals are at home, and I think for that reason, I'm going to go with the Bengals to win it, because I just think that this is a Ravens side that are just that little bit too beat up still. But this is one of the games where I say nothing would surprise me with the Ravens and John Harbaugh at all, but I'm going to go with the Bengals to go 9-6.
You have to admire the grittiness of this Bengals team. Like 3 weeks ago, played home to the Chargers, 22-0 down towards the back end of the fourth quarter. Sorry, 24-0 down. Got it back to 24-22. Look, the game didn't go their way. They lost in the end. The week after that, against San Francisco, they lost in overtime. They were down by multiple scores in that game. They fought back. Last weekend, like teams who want to make the playoffs or are building something nicely, which I think we all agree the Bengals are moving in the right direction. They need to kind of get over the line in those type of games against the Broncos. And they did it. It wasn't a great game. It wasn't good to watch. They found the way. There was a lot of strange things that went on in the game between Bridgewater, Lock coming in, Lock fumbling. And they found a way to get over the line. And then the Ravens. You say the thing about this Ravens team, they're great. They're in every game. They've lost 3 in a row. And I said it on Monday's show, and people say, oh, you're repeating yourself. People say, you got to admire Harbaugh for keep going for 2 points. Doesn't mean he's right, though. The reality is 3 of those games they've lost, they could have won 2 of them games. That game last week was there for the winning in overtime. I said it again Monday night and repeat myself. When they went to Pittsburgh, they said we wouldn't go to overtime because we couldn't move the ball. Then they wouldn't go to overtime last week when they were moving the ball. So it doesn't make any sense. And I've watched the coverage since saying the players made that decision. You'd argue then that's not really a good reflection of the head coach, because he's the man in that situation that should say, I don't care what you want. I'm going to make the right decision for the team. I'm with the Bengals. I think this is a real opportunity now for the Bengals to really push on with 2 games to go and put themselves in a prime position to win the division. The only concern for me is the Ravens front 7 can, on their day, be really effective. Burrow's been sacked 44 times this season. It's the most in the league. That offensive line really has to step up. And Michael, you said about the Cards, 1 and done in the playoffs. The Bengals are that type of team as well, 1 and done if they don't get this offensive line situation sorted. But I still think the Bengals will just about win this game.
AWOL Mark Cockerell, who must be on Sky Sports this weekend. Hope Neil's okay and family's okay. Neil, get well soon. We were joking, Brian, in the live show that Mark should replace Neil Reynolds this weekend because of his accent. So,
no better man. Well, okay.
Well, I will happily fly from Belfast International on the 26th morning with a suit and just do it for the crack. Mark's going with the Bengals. You were talking there about momentum, and I said this on the show the other night on, I don't even know anymore, Tuesday or Monday, sorry. That was the one thing I took away from those 2 games being over there last weekend. The momentum the Ravens had when they got the game back within a score. I thought, oh, geez, they're going to win this. And I was genuinely shocked when they went for 2. And I don't get it. And I agree with you, Brian. We can sit here and we can say, oh, it's smart from Harbaugh. No, it's not. Just go for the extra point. Silly. I just don't get it. And this whole talk of all, but you're flipping the coin anyway. But there's a decent chance you might get the ball back unless you mess it up on the offense like the Chargers did on Thursday Night Football last week. So let's just react for a second here. The Bengals are doing a lot right on the offense. They've got such a young team. They're a good team. They're an exciting team to watch. I enjoy the Bengals. I like the Bengals fans. But I've picked the Bengals too much this year and they've let me down. They have. And this Ravens team, boys, Jesus, Huntley's not a bad player at all. I take him in my team. I think he'll eventually be the starter for the Ravens because I don't think they're going to pay Lamar Jackson. I'm not. It's not really a bold prediction from myself. I just can't see in the current situation how they're going to pay somebody who represents themselves. But that's a whole different conversation for a 7 month.
They might look at it as an opportunity to shortchange him.
They might, but if I'm looking at Tyler Huntley and I think he's got like 3 years left on that deal or whatever he's on, I'm thinking it's. I'm not saying it's Lamar 2.0, but he's enjoyable to watch if he can work and develop, and why not? But I don't know. Anyway, for this game, Tyler Huntley. I don't think Lamar at the time of recording will play. Tyler Huntley, Mark Andrews. Good night, Cincinnati. I'm picking the Bengals. The Bengals, sweet Jesus. I'm picking the Ravens.
Yes. Sorry, Colin, go ahead.
You go, Brian.
I was just going to say, Michael, I commend you that you're actually agreeing with me because, like, I'm old. I'm 44 in March, and you're only just gone 30. And the NFL demographic has changed throughout the years. You know, Colin will agree with me on this. Back in the day, it just wasn't heard of to go for 2 points. It was like, you take your point, you go to overtime. That's what we were brought up to watch the game. That's what we're used to. So I don't know if part of that is me just being old school in terms of how I see the game. It took me a while to get my head around the fact that running quarterbacks was a thing in the league. I've always preferred a quarterback that sat in the pocket and he threw the ball. Peyton Manning didn't get outside the pocket. He had a successful career, and Tom Brady as well. So I just don't get this 2 point thing. I get it when you're behind. And Mark made a very good point on Monday. The right time to go for it was the previous drive as opposed to the one at the end and all the stuff that comes with it. And I get all the stats in the game. And hopefully, come the off season, because I've kind of lined up a couple of people who are into the stats on the NFL and in America, and they'll come on the show and explain to us how it all works and why, you know, they should do this and they should do that. For me, bread and butter in this league, get to overtime, play the game. You know, it's not even like the overtime before. I can understand back in the day, I'm really on a rant now, sorry guys, back in the day where first team wins. You get the ball, field goal, you win. It's all changed now. We saw it a couple of weeks ago where the Bengals scored a field goal in overtime. The 49ers still went down and scored a touchdown to win the game. Go to overtime, play the game, and you take your chance in overtime. Sorry, Colin.
Yeah, like there's certainly there, and it will be interesting to kind of debate that. I can see where you're coming from, but I do think John Harbaugh has the 8th best record in the league of head coaches in the league currently. 0.614 behind LaFleur is top given his 50 games with the Packers, but Belichick, Tomlin, Reed, Sean Payton, you know, there aren't too many more ahead of Harbaugh. I think some of it has been driven by the injuries this year. It'll be very interesting to see how it all plays out. So Michael, I can absolutely see how John Harbaugh leads the Ravens to win it. I don't think this wouldn't be a shock. I just think the Bengals will have enough, but Brian is absolutely right. They have to protect Burrow, both in terms of this year and the playoffs, but for his long-term health.
It'll be a good game.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's great. Colin, sorry, one more point to this. We're not necessarily discussing the game. We're discussing the metrics or it comes with going for a 2 point conversion at the end of the game or during the game. Harbaugh's in a position where he knows realistically, it doesn't matter how this season plays out for the Ravens, he won't get fired. You know, that role is there for him to walk away from. Other head coaches, further down the line, would they go for 2 points? Because they know, well, if they don't make it, 2 of the 3 weeks they've done it, will they be in a job at the end of the season? You know, that's a different scenario. He knows he's got the backing of the owners.
If we're sitting the week after next talking about this again, I swear to God, if he does it again, fair play to him. Chargers, Texans. We need to plow through some games here. Colin, what's your thoughts on this game this week?
Well, this is a coach who'd go for it, whether his job is on the line or not. It is in Brandon Staley's DNA to go for it. I think we have seen the Chargers be very good at times this year and very bad at others, and almost inexplicably bad at times. That Broncos game still makes no sense to me why they were as bad as they were, and Herbert just got nothing going. At other times, he's looked very good. They had a disappointing loss to the Chiefs the last time out. the Texans got the win over the putrid Jags, but I don't think that they are going to have enough to overcome this Chargers side. Even with Austin Eckler on the COVID list, I have the Chargers winning this one.
Brian is going with the Chargers. He's away. I don't know where he is. Mark, can I just make your picks so we can move on? No? Or do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers as well, guys. I mean, sorry about my absence. I spent some time in Japan and I called my house Nakatomi, but some terrorists just came storming in. But it's okay. My mate John came round, took care of it. It's all good. Don't worry.
My dad's called John. No, okay, right. Let's move on from that very quickly. He's away. Oh, he's found out, right? He's away already. Rams, Vikings. By the way, yeah, sorry, we're all going with the Chargers. Look, if the Chargers don't win this game, I will come on next week in a New York Giants top with McQuaid, 75 in the back, and Brian can buy it. Brian's got a point. Yes, Brian. You're on mute. Sorry, I put you on mute when you got up because I could hear you getting out of the seat. Sorry. Go on ahead.
Am I back?
You're back.
I'm going back to the 2-point conversion thing again. No, sorry, not necessarily 2-point conversion. More the 4th down conversion. Harbour probably took a lot of the pressure off Staley last week because the scrutiny went on Harbour on Monday, Tuesday with the 2-point piece, as opposed to what happened last Thursday with Brandon Staley going for it on 4, was it? 4 times he went for it? Oh, you got it, yeah. 1 out of 4 on 4th down. That game, he left 9 points behind. 9. Okay, we don't know who's going to make all those field goals, but 2 of them were chip shots. So essentially gave the game away, in a game that was significant for them going for that division. So he probably should have been the one that should have got the most criticism last weekend.
This is like talking about the Mark and Gaelic. We will come back to this. We're getting to the end of the season. We've a lot of time and a lot of episodes to fill, and I'm looking forward to this discussion. Rams 10-4, Vikings 7-7. I heard a Vikings, what's the word? Journalists say, "Oh yeah, we're hosting the Rams next week, man." Oh, I got there. So, would you be that concerned, Colin, if you were a Vikings fan?
No, I wouldn't be concerned if I was facing an all pro, all Madden team. It wouldn't matter to this Vikings because the Vikings are equally as capable of beating the Rams as they are losing to the Lions, losing to the 0-16 Lions, the 0-16 Browns. If the 72 Dolphins had to play this Vikings team, it could be this Vikings team that took their perfect season away from them. This Vikings team are capable of anything. And we obviously know that Dalvin Cook has gone on to the COVID list where we are waiting to hear around Kirk Cousins. If Kirk Cousins goes on it, then that will be very interesting for Mike Zimmer and very interesting for Kirk, who promised to put himself in plexiglass and do all things possible. But if I just think that this is a team who make no sense. Like in a season that makes no sense, they make even less sense. We saw Kirk Cousins throwing a ball into another dimension against the Bears. I think that the Vikings are going to shock the world and beat the Rams and go above 500. I've got the Vikings winning this.
Colin, you're doing a disservice there saying, they're hoping that Kirk Cousins will play. I'd say some fans would hope he wasn't playing because he's so erratic and he has such a poor record against teams who have 10 plus wins. I think he's only won 2 or 3 games throughout his career in that situation. Look, the Rams lost 3 games in November. They've won 3 games in December. They're going in the right direction. The Vikings team now are missing Jared Cook. Like we've seen in the last couple of weeks, with him come back, that game against the Steelers a few weeks ago, where
Jared Cook. I'm sorry, but Jared Cook.
Dalvin Cook. Okay, yeah, sorry, apologies. Yeah. Oh yeah, not the tight end isn't playing running back this week. Apologies. Yeah, but look, the reality is Cook is gone. The likelihood he's gone for the next game as well against the Packers. So it's a double whammy. Kupp, what a season! If he can average 113 yards in the next 3 games, he breaks Calvin Johnson's record. It goes to show the season that he's had. So for me, no, I'm not going to call him on this. I think the Rams going in the right direction. The Rams win.
Colin was talking a bit about controversy and controversial views. Some people don't like the fact that Die Hard is really a Christmas movie. I'll give you another one that's going to be controversial. Lethal Weapon's a Christmas movie. Shane Black only does screenplays based around Christmas. Lethal Weapon is all based around Christmas. And to me, a little bit here, the Vikings are Riggs and Murtaugh, because they could blow up the entire building and get fired, or they could save the day. Nobody knows what you're going to get with them. Riggs and Murtaugh, at least it always worked out well in the end. I'm not sure that's ever been the case for the Vikings, because usually in the end, everything goes to pot. So maybe just watch Lethal Weapon in reverse, and you'll get a sense of what it's like to support. Brian, you said it, like, continued story at all times here.
Who's your ISP? Who's your ISP? Call them out right now.
Right, you freezed up on us there, you did.
He's
got a freeze. Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, Cooper Kupp continues to be the story. Matt Stafford and him, the connection's been great, and they've seemed to have just shouldered over that little bit of a rocky patch they had when it was suddenly they're getting Von Miller, they're getting everybody. This is the most exciting team ever. They're getting the game back on track. They're getting the pressure on the Arizona Cardinals, and I think this weekend is the weekend where they take that divisional lead back off them, with the Cards losing to the Colts and then the Rams winning. And Michael, we might know what you already pick as well.
All these movie references are putting me off. Yippee-ki-yay. I'm picking the LA Rams. I think they're coming into their own at this point, and I don't really think it matters if, like, for example, Cooper Kupp is out or whatever. Van Jefferson, Van Morrison, very dangerous. Doesn't really matter. The Rams will win this game. The Vikings the other night, boys, was like, yeah, like, I know they were playing the Bears, but seeing them in person and seeing how much they rely on Dalvin Cook it's not embarrassing, but it's like, come on, Kirk, come on. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just, like, I don't know. It was more watching them and seeing how they play. Like, okay, Justin Jefferson was getting into the game a bit, but bar that, they have nobody. They have nobody on the offense. It's not worth watching. It's crap. And the Rams are going to show them up on
the Vikings have nobody. They've Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. They've probably got the best.
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I mean in the sense of, will Kirk Cousins throw the ball the feeling against the Rams? I don't think he'll have a chance to. I think he'll be decimated by that Rams defense, personally. Now, sorry for not explaining my point. Skull to everybody out there. I think the Vikings will finish like 9-8, if that helps. But Zimmer's probably gone. I'm still a bit beat up by having to watch that game Monday night. And I couldn't leave, so technically I had to watch the game.
They won't finish 9-8 because they won't beat the Packers next week. So good luck with that.
Well, now let's not be so sure about that. As you said in a bar last December, let's look forward to that next week. Shout out to Van Morrison as well. Must get him on the show at some point. Bills against the Patriots. The Patriots had a decimating defeat. I'm really enjoying that word. Against the Indianapolis Colts last Saturday, Colin. Has Bill Belichick and Mac Jones been found out, or do you expect them to win on Boxing Day?
I do expect them to win. I think that has Bill Belichick been found out?
I'm joking. I'm not going to cry. Come on.
No, I think the Bills team. I just think that the Bills expended so much energy genuinely in beating the Chiefs at Arrowhead that they haven't looked like the same team. They went in and they stomped all over the Chiefs. I mean, they put 38 points on them, and they were so dominant in that. But since then, they've never looked the same against when they've come up against really decent teams. And they've won games, absolutely. They beat the Saints is the one that probably stands out to me. But I think you've seen them lose to the Bucs, you've seen them lose to the Patriots, to the Colts. I don't know what exactly is wrong with the Bills, because a lot of it works. Their defense is really good. They obviously have Josh Allen. But does it all come down to the running game? Because both of their lines are relatively solid as well. I just don't think all is right with the Bills, which is a shame because I think they're a franchise, the team, and a fan base that are deserving of some success. But I just think Bill Belichick at home with the number one there still to be fought for, I think he's going to find a way. I don't imagine it's going to be particularly pretty, but I do think that the Patriots find a way.
Mark said a few weeks ago after we discussed the game on the Monday night where the weather was ridiculous and adverse weather conditions for both sides, and he said it'll pay very little significance in this game, going in when it comes to Foxborough. But in that game, the Bills missed the field goal, and they also had the ball at the end to win, and they didn't get it. They couldn't get over the line. I actually know a Bills fan for a long time, and he said to me this week, our last 15 wins have been by 10 plus points. We are really comprehensive in our wins. And I said, but then what's the flip side of that is you don't seem to get over the line in these close games, i.e. that game a couple of weeks ago. And he kind of went, oh yeah, never thought of it from that point of view. But I'm going to go with the Bills in this game. I just feel like a few weeks ago it was one that was there for them. Didn't work out. Having got the win last week, seeing the Patriots, lose, it's their last chance, Saloon, in terms of getting this division. Because if they win this, am I right in saying, Mark, if they win, they have the tie break because of your loss to the Dolphins? Yeah, correct. So significant. I see them winning. They've put up 30 plus points in 8 games this season. So for me, and I said it last week, if the Bills get going, similar to the Colts last week, albeit it didn't work out the way I thought it would, if they get going, can this Patriots offense live with the Bills in a high-scoring game? I don't believe they can. And for that reason, I'm going with the Bills.
Mark, just before you make your pick, presented without comment. No?
Mark looks better.
I need to get.
He does, and at least his hoodie doesn't oppose. I thought that would get a laugh, and nobody laughed. All right, I give up. Okay.
We all went on mute at the same time, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think how many years difference is between me and Bill Belichick. Animal, as we found out on Thursday night.
Spirit Animal, yeah, and Mike Vrabel's mine. Yeah, okay.
So, look, there's plenty of ways I could take this game and talk about it. The reality is the game a couple of weeks ago is indeed irrelevant because of the conditions, because of everything that was set up. But it does remind me of my favorite ever George W. Bush line, where he was giving a speech and he said, there's a saying we've got in Texas. I'm sure you've got it here in Tennessee as well. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. And he suddenly realized the import of what he was about to say and went, well, a fooled man can't get fooled again. And moved on. That's what's going to happen to the Bills in this game. They can't afford to be fooled and dominated on the run offense by the Patriots again. And I think they will take steps to adapt for that. For Bills fans, of course, if last season wasn't enough, this season again is another recreation of trading places where the Duke brothers are trying to trade Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's places in society. They are trying to establish themselves as the preeminent force in the AFC East. And it's a lot closer this year than, in fairness, I think any of us anticipated it would be during the season. But the Patriots are going to be heavily reliant on the run game because they are missing a number of wide receivers. Kendrick Bourne is out. They were basically practicing with three wide receivers. I expect to see a heavy dose of double tight ends and very limited capabilities at wide receiver position unless N'Keal Harry is finally going to prove himself useful and worthy of the first round pick. The Pats stepped on him. Here nomine Patri Fi Spiriti Sancti, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. But unfortunately, I think the Bills are going to win this game.
Mark, it is an upset alert, I suppose. They're not the favorite. Mark, you touched on trading places there. I hope we don't have a situation where Josh Allen doesn't have a run game and his arms hanging off in the fourth quarter, and it's a stock exchange situation. Get back in there and sell.
They might be putting him back in. That's the thing.
Yeah. Your brother's having a heart attack. F him. All right.
I am conscious that we need to roll through this. Now, I'm going to say this now. Let's not react to what I'm about to say, because I know people will say, "Oh, I've got a point. Just wait and hear what I'm going to say." Okay.
If you pick the Patriots,
if any other team had lost to the Colts last week in the way that the Patriots did, especially after that first half performance, ESPN on Monday morning would have absolutely the bed. Let's get to the point here right now, especially with a rookie quarterback. There's been like it actually helped the Patriots playing on Saturday night. That would be my opinion. I would also have the opinion after getting up at 6 a.m. a few weeks ago to watch that Monday Night Football game. That game was a disgrace. And fair play to the Patriots for running the ball, and they won the game. It was a Belichick masterclass. But I'm aware of the curse on this show, and I'm fully aware of what my consequences have in actions. And that's why I think it's going to be a really, really good game. Can the Bills do it is the question. Like, you watch that game against Tampa Bay, and they don't turn up in the first half. They turn it on in the second half. It's like your wife texts you at 4 o'clock. You're home early. Can you make dinner? I want it at 5 o'clock. Be home at 5. No bother at all. I shall make it at 4:35. 4:32 comes. You're going, here, I'll make it at 20 to. Here, I'll make it at 10 to. Oh, I didn't make it. That's what the Bills are like in some of these games. The reality is, though, if I pick the Patriots, they should lose, yeah? So I'm going to take the Patriots for this game. And I'm going to say no more on the matter because I think we all know what I'm thinking. But if the Patriots were to lose this game, just very quickly, in the same manner in which they lost last week's game, can we then have a discussion? Because we're talking about Justin Fields, we're talking about Zach Wilson, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. No. So why can't we have a balanced, conservative discussion about Mac Jones?
Of last week's game, the Patriots scored 17 points in the fourth quarter and brought it back to 17-20. We're talking about not only a one-score game, a bloody tight game. So they didn't go mad on ESPN around it because actually he led them back into the game. And did they have a crap first half? Yeah, with a blocked punt returned for a touchdown. So 7 points aren't the responsibility of the defense or the offense in that game. So that's why nobody's going
mad. They're 9-5. That's all that matters. 9-5. Going 10-5 by my pick. One of the best
teams.
What I would
say is if they were to lose this game, I think it would bring us back to where we probably thought the Patriots were as a team for the season. Probably like Colin, in fairness, picked them to be a wildcard team. That's where we're at. I think they are a wildcard team, and Mark did as well. Apologies, Mark. That's where they are, and we all felt the Bills would win the division. We actually thought the Bills would win the division a little bit more comfortably than where we're at the moment. And if they win this game, the likelihood is they will press on and win the division. And the same thing if the Patriots win, then obviously the division pretty much is over. So is that right, Mark? Do you win this one? It's over. Two in front, 2 to go.
It's not quite over. It should be actually. If we're 10-5 and they're 8-7, yeah, it would be over. Yeah.
Look at those picks at the bottom though. How the tides have turned. 2 Patriots against the 2 Bills. I mean,
Colin has been consistent for
this game, Mark.
In fairness to Colin, he's been consistent with Pats all year long.
Yeah, because I just think Belichick game plans, and we've yet to find out exactly what Mac Jones' ceiling is. But at the time of recording, after winning 9 games, he has as many wins as Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson all put together.
Yeah, he does. He does. But I'm also conscious that this is going out on Friday. I'm also conscious that in 8 days' time, it's January. And we all know what happens in January. So I'm excited to see what can happen. And fair play to the Patriots. They're in a great position. And I'm not jealous at all.
What happens in January, Michael? I actually don't know.
Playoff football. I wouldn't know because I'm a Broncos fan. Okay.
Taking away anybody's, where do you want to go in this game in terms of not this game that's on the screen? I mean, the previous game.
I deleted it.
Whatever the feeling is of the Patriots and the Bills and everything that comes with the run to the playoffs, it should be a great game.
Absolutely.
Low scoring.
I hope it is, and it deserves to be two good teams. The Jaguars 2-12 against the Jets 3-11. Another game probably destined to be in Londres, Proxima Semana. What's your thoughts on this, Colin?
I can't settle on this one, Michael. I do a job at. I genuinely enjoy almost every NFL game. I find intrigue in them. I love watching it. I can't tell you on this one. This is just 2 bad teams. This is 2 teams who cannot wait to get the season over and done with. Nothing has gone the way they wanted it to get done. The only thing I'd say is things have gone way worse in Jacksonville. I really thought we'd see a response from them last week. We didn't, and they got beaten by a terrible Texans team, which tells you where this franchise is. There's some talent there, but it's so horribly disjointed. I think the Jets win this on the basis that they have a head coach who, at least knows what he's doing. But I really think both of these teams, just if they could end the season right now and even forfeit the rest of their games, from a franchise point of view, not from a player standpoint, I think they would. They just want it to end because it's just been awful for all of them.
Well, there is a talking point in this game, in fairness. And it's not who's going to be picking number one or where they're going to be picking the draft. It's the fact that it's the first round pick against the second round pick of the previous draft. Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. And the last few weeks, Wilson, first half against the Eagles at home, played really well. Couldn't do anything in the second half. Similar enough last week, went to Miami, up by 10 points late in the second quarter, played really well. Second half, couldn't do it. Looks like he's coming on, since his injury, but unfortunately just hasn't produced 4 quarters yet. I think this is where the Jets need to get to. They need to see him play a constructive game for 4 quarters. We haven't seen it yet, but it looks like he's going in the right direction. For Lawrence, I think it's very much get the season over, get a new head coach in, new offensive coordinator, and he starts rebuilding again. The Jets, for me, will win this game. Probably more so on the defense. Defense is, they've had some good moments during the year. The Titans game, the Bengals game at home. They have played reasonably well in which has been a difficult season. So, yeah, I'm with the Jets. But you're talking about the Lions and Falcons not being on red zone much. This is the kind of game that won't be on red zone much.
Gents, I'm watching Love Actually rather than this. To be really honest with you, I'd much rather watch Love Actually than this.
Underrated movie.
Yeah, underrated movie. Classic Christmas movie.
Any quotes you want to give us?
Oh well, I mean, I'll do the Hugh Grant dance when the Patriots get back to the Super Bowl. Basically, that's a promise.
Mark turned up at Tom Brady's house with the sign saying, "Please come back, Tom. Please." With BA in a room.
Don't
for a man who doesn't watch movies, Brian just absolutely went with the best one. End the show.
Right. No worries, folks. Have a great Christmas. And yeah.
Happy Christmas.
But seriously, the only intriguing piece of it is what Brian just alluded to, first versus second round. I remember when Mariota and Winston were drafted, and the very first game of the season, they were facing off against each other. That was fascinating and interesting. After what we've seen from the first and second picks and the general talent deficit on both their teams, this isn't going to be anywhere near as interesting. I have to admit, Michael, I think I picked the Jets earlier, but you have to put up the logo because I honestly can't remember. That's how little I care about this game. Did I pick the Jets?
Serious?
I'm deadly serious. I actually can't remember.
I'll tell you what, let me give my pick first then, just for the crack. I'm picking the Jets. I don't want to talk about it. He picked the Jaguars.
Oh, did I? I don't know why I did that. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, let's start it off with we've got the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the New York Pepsi Giants. I wrote a song for Brian for Christmas. Snow is falling all around me. We've got free Pepsi, but no fun. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Merry Christmas. No one. Was that good? Or was that
absolutely beautiful?
Did you no? Look, I wasn't on the show last night or so, for Monday night show. Did you not actually bring up the Pepsi thing, Brad? With Tynes? Because that's 10 out of 10.
I didn't. It's gas. I can't believe we're discussing Pepsi, but yeah, the joke is it's like they gave them all a courtesy Pepsi last weekend.
Have a free medium Pepsi brand. No,
yeah, it was called out during the week that a lot of other teams are doing it throughout the league. But unfortunately, when you're in the Giants predicament, and you're trying to rile more fans. Can I go first in this game, or do I have to wait for the thing to?
No, actually, if you want to go first, yeah.
It doesn't matter because actually I have the Eagles down to win, but I don't believe that's going to be the case. I've changed my mind. I can see the Giants win for the following reasons. Michael, you're making it like we haven't won a game all season. There, we beat the Eagles, by the way. In fact, I think we're the team that kept
I'm laughing that you've changed the pick.
The Eagles played on Tuesday, so they've only had 4 days to recover from their game, and that can be significant. Their head coach is out of the game; he won't be on the sideline. I know sometimes that goes against you, it goes with you. And for the Giants, we're going to have a new quarterback this week. Not much to crow about Jake Fromm, but I still think he will give us a bit of a spark. And Jadon Smith will play, who was with the Cowboys previously, let go for business reasons. Packers quickly picked him up because he was supposed to be the next big thing, and he said they let him go for political reasons, but he played well last weekend. Giants defense kept these to 7 points the first time round. They kept the Cowboys to 21 points last week. And I think we'll find a way to somehow get it done because Joe Judge, in all the games we played against the Eagles, has done well. And his job is on the line. I think if he was to win this game, that would secure his job for next year. Because knowing the way the franchise feel about the Eagles, if they were to do the double on them, whatever you want to call it in the NFL world, that would save his job. So for me, I think it's going to be a strange one. And I think the Giants will somehow find a way to win, predominantly because the defense will hold Hurts in check.
Can I ask you, and I mean this in a genuine manner and in a very positive manner as a friend, do you really think a win would save his job? Seriously,
Yeah, I think his job is safe now, to be honest, Michael. Unfortunately, the way things have been going the past couple of weeks, the way the words that are coming out, and we were fortunate to speak to Lawrence Tynes this week. He was undecided. A lot of the fans are undecided, but I think if he was to get one more win, and in this game in particular, yeah, I think he would save his job because I could see a scenario where they win the last game. And unfortunately, owners, and I'm not just saying with the Giants, owners are blinded by wins. Even if the significance of the win is irrelevant come week 17, we've seen it in the past where they do the end of season speech and say, oh, well, we won 6 games this year. The reality is you're playing nothing in that particular game at the end of the season. I do think if he was to win this game, he would hang on to his job.
Colin, who have you got? Coke or Pepsi?
Given that we are talking about movies, do you remember the scene in The Big Lebowski and the dude is in the back of the cab and the Eagles are playing and he gets into a physical altercation with the driver because he hates the Eagles? That's Brian O'Leary and the Eagles.
I saw that today on Twitter, actually. I did, yeah.
Fitting. Evidently, I put it out into the ether. I think that this is going to be I think what you saw from the Eagles. We talked about it with Jeff. Really dominant O-line performance against the Washington football team. They have a really good offensive line, and I think that this will be that kind of old school derby kind of game that you get in England, and I don't think it'll be high scoring, but ultimately I think that the Eagles will have learned the lessons from the previous game. You're not going to see Jalen Hurts try and throw the ball too much. It's going to be run. And I think the Eagles are going to have enough and they are moving back above 500.
Silver Linings Playbook featured Eagles fans, Bradley Cooper. A couple of those in that movie, a couple of the key scenes involved the lead characters, him and Jennifer Lawrence, running and talking while they were running. That's exactly what's going to happen in this game. The Giants defense has many strengths, but actually it's in the bottom third of teams when it comes up to yards given up against the run. It doesn't generate fumbles. It doesn't generate turnovers in the run game. And the Eagles, as we've alluded to last few weeks, are overly committed to the run. They finally figured out that they should be Baltimore North. They finally figured out that only running the ball 5 times was not a viable strategy for their game plan. And I think, therefore, they are going to have and make waves in that regard against the Giants offense. And I'm sorry, Brian, I'm not excited by Jake Fromm. I'm not excited by Smith on his third team. And I know you're looking for a spark and you're passionate about it, but it's just not good enough for me. It's going to be fly, Eagles, fly. And to complete the Christmas movie, another angel gets its wings once they've flown up to the top there.
Well, the reason that the Eagles got the run game together on Tuesday night, believe me, I was watching it because my fantasy team relied on it, was because they ran the ball. The WFT on Tuesday night were atrocious. Lock them up sort of situation against the run. It was pathetic. And I've got an early Christmas present for Brian. Because of Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts' pure ineptitude to throw to him, or maybe go, Jesus, the 2nd and 6. Michael needs 4 fantasy points. Let's just throw it to him. I know, Mark, don't even start. All right? I'm picking the Giants. I'm done with the Eagles for the year. I couldn't care less. And,
Michael,
yeah.
When they played against the Jets a few weeks ago, the Eagles, and Minshew was the quarterback, they didn't get Smith involved in the game at all.
Didn't get him involved at all. But Hurts works well with him.
Yeah. Well, there's other games this season where it's like he did it in Denver. He had a fantastic game. It's sporadic all year. He's a really good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. We saw it in week 1 when he went into Atlanta. But for some reason, they just tend to, he's in, he's out, and we see now this Sunday. Now we probably have a worldie, as they say.
Is he doing
as Paul Mears would say, he'll have a worldie.
He's in.
He's talking. Did you say Colm Eastwood?
No, Paul Merson always calls it a worldie.
Colm Eastwood. I just want to.
It's great to see you getting behind me, Michael. I'm delighted now.
Absolutely, and talking about local derbies, Linfield against Glentoran on Boxing Day up here should be a great game. We play our football up here the proper way, that most leagues in the world do, from August to May. Should be a good game. Enjoy the football if you're heading to it on Saturday or Sunday. Don't go to the football on Saturday; you'll not get in.
Ulster Connect as well with a full stadium, Michael, I believe. But
Ulster,
Michael,
yeah.
Can I just ask? Can we get a new sound effect? Because I really want that. Brian switched to the Eagles, right? So you're on your own on that one, and I almost want a lightning bolt sound effect and thunder, and then a cackle over and say the curse has been struck.
Michael, you should have done the horn. The Giants are 10-point underdogs in this game. I think it's with the exception of the Texans, Chargers, it's the biggest spread.
You should have done the what?
You should have got the horn.
I'm okay for getting the horn out at the minute, but thank you for asking that question. Okay, in terms of Ulster, Ravenhill, who are Ulster playing at Ravenhill on Sunday or Saturday? You all right, Mark? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
who are Ulster playing on Saturday or Sunday?
I'm glad this is a Christmas Day special.
They're playing Connacht. Is who they're playing.
So you're hold on. So that game in Ravenhill is taking place, but the game in AV is not. That makes perfect sense. Anyway, good luck to Ulster on Sunday. Wreck them, boys. Wreck Connacht. Right. Bears against the Seahawks. Who have you got, Colin?
I don't know if other people saw the video and you were in the press box, Michael, so you may not have heard it. But there's a video doing the rounds and it has millions of views, and it is a Bears fan.
Is this the Barstool one?
The Bears fan, which tells it all. After a further review, we suck. And that the Bears, that is the case. They're just, it hasn't worked. Pace and Nagy have to go. The O-line is a mess. They need to develop Justin Fields, another team where you really have to feel that they cannot wait for the season to be over and done with. And for the Seahawks, they probably feel somewhat similar. At times they've been good, but ultimately 5-9. They're not going anywhere this year. They need to get the Russell Wilson situation resolved. I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this game, just because you cannot trust the Bears in any way, shape or form. But it's not with a huge amount of conviction that I say that.
Leading up to this game, of reading a lot of analysis, quite a few people selecting the Bears to win this game. They feel that the Seahawks are home, season's over, they won't be playing for much. But in fairness, what I've found over the years, you know yourself, with Seattle at home, no matter what the circumstances, the crowd will be supportive of the team. Pete Carroll will want to win. And you just can't have any faith in the Bears team right now. I mean, they struggled on Monday. It was difficult. And Justin Fields he's back, and it's probably the right thing for them because they want to see more of him. Colin, you said it a couple of weeks ago, no matter what the circumstances are, when he's available, he will play, because whether it's 2 games, 3 games, they want to see what they have. And but for me, I think he'll struggle against a Seahawks team that Metcalf hasn't had a big game recently. I think it's the kind of game that would suit him. And if Lockett comes back, they'll have more than enough for them to win this game. So for me, it's Seattle.
I think Home Alone came out in 1990, and it's terrifying to think that that's 31 years old at this stage, that movie. But this reminds me of Kevin McAllister sitting in his house, cocking his shotgun and suddenly going, "This is it, don't get scared now." Because the Seattle Seahawks are at home, they're not alone with the 12th man, and they've definitely nothing to be scared of with this Bears team visiting. Have the Seahawks been performing to the standards and levels they expect? Absolutely not. Have they got flaws as a team? Absolutely. Do I think they have more than enough to handle a Bears team that is getting progressively worse as the season goes on, which in itself is a big enough indictment on the complete ineptitude of of its coaching team. Yes, I think the Seahawks have enough. I think the Bears deserve better as a franchise. I think Justin Fields deserves better as a player, and there's a number of players that deserve better than what the, Hale and pace would be closer to what they've been delivering than Nagy and pace. It's a comedy act, and unfortunately, no one's laughing in Chicago.
I really enjoyed my time in Chicago at the weekend. A fun fact column: I am now 0-6 in America for home teams playing. Maybe that's a fact. We can start going on this. Excuse me, but I'm laughing that much already. But that I was considering, do I go to the press box the press room for the winning team, the Vikings, or do I go for the Bears? And I thought, you know what, Jesus, let's go see Nagy. It'd be great crack. Let's see him, because when Nagy flew the flag, everyone's like, yeah, it's like WWE. I thought he was going to get rejected from the game. I genuinely did. And Colin, you mentioned the Barstool. Apparently, it was Big Cat from Barstool that shouted that. That's the rumor going around. But somebody else shouted, I'll not finish that sentence, and it was clear. Like, we heard it over the referee, like at the very end, and this happened 3 or 4 times during the game. So the fans were going crazy. The thing is, though, they're playing a team that's 5-9. The Seahawks are nothing special. And genuinely, if Justin Fields can turn it on, and when I say turn it on, I mean run the ball a bit, get the ball off to Cole Kmet, get a run game with Montgomery in some point, because Seattle haven't been anything special this year. Arguably, will Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson be there next season? That's a whole discussion point. I don't know if they will win this game. That's the reason that I'm going to take the upset for the crack and pick Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. And am I serious, boys? Do I really think they're going to win? Well, I'll tell you why. I do. Yeah, that's a new one. We've got Little John in there as well. I think, boys, I actually genuinely think the Bears are going to win this game. It's like that end of the season. Meh. Bears. Fields has a field day. There you go. There you go, Bears. That's the first time I have picked the Bears this season. I actually had to find that big graphic. I don't think anybody's picked the Bears all season, so there you go.
I think Lil John's a Falcons fan, actually, so he knows about pain and suffering, Michael. But that's certainly not a pick I expected. I don't think anybody expected.
It happened. The Seahawks have been up and down like a yo-yo. Okay, if DK Metcalf gets it on, happy days. No. 5-9 football team? Mark. Casey, Pittsburgh. Mark, I think you want to start us off here because you have to go wrap some presents.
I do. I've got to make sure I put up the sign up on the chimney and do all that jazz. So I will take care of Christmas endeavors and leave you gents to finish off the last few games. And apologies, I have to love you and leave you so soon. I've also probably run out of Christmas movie references. Who's kidding? I probably have 10 more, but I will.
I tell you what, seriously though, just shout for this game and we'll put up. So this game.
No, I will. So I mean, on this game, it's a fascinating game, of course, because Mike Tomlin a few times and everything just keeps on trucking, keeps on coaching some amazing performances out of a team that has been suffering with injuries, has looked dysfunctional at times, and certainly has an offense that is bordering on incompetent at times, it would almost seem like. But still, what have they done in recent times? Oh, they've only beaten the Ravens and then beaten the Titans. They have continued to pull out results when they were least expected. However, this week they're going up against one of the hottest teams in football. Do the Chiefs have flaws? Absolutely. We have not seen the offensive juggernaut that we've seen in times gone by, but that defense has been playing ball. And certainly when I consider the struggles on the Steelers offense going up against that defense, I think that causes more than enough fear. And Patrick Mahomes and the offense will put up enough points. They might not be impressive. They might not be demonstrative because, of course, they're going up a very solid Steelers defense. But for me, I'm taking the Chiefs in this game. Wish you, gents, and all our viewers a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mark.
See you soon, Mark. There you go.
That was a very raspy see you soon, Brad. Who have you got calling this game?
This is the game. I mean, we talked about the struggles that Matt Nagy has had. Well, these two head coaches have phenomenal records. When you consider Andy Reid is nearly coming up. This is his 399th game, I believe, in the league, and he's won well above half of those, which is quite some record. And Tomlin has even more than as a winning percentage is even more than Andy Reid. But it's like Marcus said, the Steelers have relied on Mike Tomlin magic and TJ Watt and their defense. It has not been on the offense, and I think that they are going to make life difficult for the Chiefs. But I think just like the many teams, you're going into Arrowhead, you're gonna struggle to score points. So even if you slow the Chiefs, and I imagine Mike Tomlin will not do what the Raiders did, and will be sensible enough to play the too high to slow Mahomes, I still think that this Chiefs team are absolutely rolling at the moment. They're just finding ways to win. Some weeks it's the run, some weeks it's Hill, some weeks it's Kelsey. They, no matter who it is, they seem to find a way. They have Chris Jones back. They may get others back. I think that it will be a tight game, but I'm going with the Chiefs.
The first 7 weeks of the season, the defense of the Chiefs was giving up an average of 29 points. Since then, 13 points per game. The Steelers' offense hasn't been consistent throughout the season. You know, last week they struggled. They got over the line predominantly because of the defense. The week before, when they were struggling in Minnesota, they still racked up some amount of points, but you wonder how much that was given up because of, I wouldn't call it garbage time scores, but I mean, the Vikings had that game won. They were 29 up with 6 minutes to go. So you can't really honestly hang your hat on the Steelers' offense. You know, if you're looking at an offense that was going in that was really explosive throughout the season, right, they're going to give the Chiefs a big test. And for the Chiefs' offense, whilst they've averaged 41 points the past 2 games, I'm still not sure how good that was, because the Chargers last week, I thought defensively weren't great, and the previous week it was the Raiders, and the Raiders just haven't corrected anything from the first time round. So, you know, let's see how they get on this weekend against a Steelers defense, which we touched on earlier in the week, and Colin said as well. You know, they fought their way to a win against the Titans. Still think the Chiefs will have more than enough, though. That's the problem. You know, you're asking the Steelers probably to put up 27, 20 points potentially to win this game, and it's not. I can't see it. So for me, I think the Chiefs are really putting themselves in a prime position now to get that number 1 seed. You know, judging by what they've got left in the season in terms of games, it looks like they're going to win this game and go on potentially to get the number 1 seed.
I've only got one thing to say in this game, and it kills me as a Broncos fan.
Hey, how about those Chiefs?
Doesn't matter about COVID. As long as Mahomes there, he'd be grand. He'll hand it off. He'll throw the ball to some 4th-rated wide receiver. They'll win the game. The Chiefs will win this game for me. They'll win the West. Great.
You just look at Big Ben, and like we spoke about him, we probably speak about come the offseason, you know, and whether he's going to stay on and whether he's going to retire or whether the Steelers are going to make that difficult decision to move on from.
Yeah, it's like Mickey Hart, Brian, and Sharon. Mickey, it's time.
I find it difficult to see. Is Chris Jones back in this game, Colin?
Yeah.
So he's got Chris Jones. He's got Frank Clark going at him. He's not the most mobile quarterbacks. And he's got safeties coming on blitzes. It looks like
the one thing we can say, Brian, is there is a lot of from the last time I seen, there's a lot of offensive players like wide receivers out. Like even like Greg Dieter, the 3rd or 4th string is out. I'm not sure Colin is Kelsey out. Do you know?
There is talk that Kelsey is likely back for this game. I haven't seen it confirmed, but I believe that Kelsey will likely play.
Yeah, sorry, that's a fair point, Michael. We haven't touched on the fact that they've been, riddled this week with the COVID situation. Maybe they won't have all the full starters, but
it hasn't really happened in the last few days. It happened whenever I was leaving the States. There was all the hoopla, like all Kansas City. Nothing's happened since. So it's
they seem to have cleaned up. They haven't had very many cases confirmed since then. Since Wednesday, they seem to have, whatever they've done in terms of the protocols, it seems to have worked. So, look, it's a difficult one for the Steelers to go in there and win that. It'd be a big ask. If they were to win it, puts them certainly in a situation where they could potentially push on and look for a wild card. But
Yeah,
it's a big one.
It could be the last hurrah for many. It is very much like the Mickey Hart situation for me. So long. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just on Kelsey, no symptoms, still on the list, but likely to play is the latest.
Do you know if he tested positive? I
believe I don't know if he tested positive or not. I know he was added to the list on Monday.
Close contact, maybe.
Right now, as of today, he has no symptoms.
Close contact, he had to have no symptoms and pass 3 tests. So I think he's
we seen last year whenever was it Chad Henne came in for Cleveland against Cleveland. I mean, does it really matter anymore? Players, like, I'm joking, but obviously,
I think it does with that offense because it hasn't played well this season. I don't think they're, I don't think if he was to come in there, it would be the most fruitful of situations. But that'll probably be further down the line in the playoffs, where it would impact him. I don't think it would impact him in this game.
It would be interesting. I don't want to say this game too long, but if they did lose this game against the Steelers, the Chargers have got a very favorable, in my opinion, a very favorable run. They have, and they've got a very good game on Sunday there. Broncos going to Vegas in the AFC West. Both teams call them 7-7. We had a wee discussion about this earlier on today. What's your thoughts going into this game? Genuinely, what's your thoughts?
We were on opposite sides of the fence on this. This is two teams who have all sorts of issues, I think. But when you consider that the Broncos have had so much stability, and their record is 7-7, and the Raiders have had all sorts of instability for all sorts of horrific reasons, and they're 7-7. That's quite telling. But the Raiders started off the season so well. Derek Carr had nearly 1,200 yards in the first 3 games. In the past 3 games, he's struggled. He hasn't gone above 300 in any of them. And Vegas is offensive ranking since week 9. Per the turnover rate, 31st. The touchdown rate, 29th. First down rate, 20th. So this is an offense that is really struggling. They're really, really struggling. And for that reason, I think an offense that's struggling going up against a Broncos team where the head coach just acts as a defensive coordinator and kind of seems to forget about the rest of it, but a very good defensive coordinator. I think that the Broncos will hold the Chiefs, and I think this will be a game where the Broncos win probably 15-14, and there'll be the debate and discussion as to whether Vic Fangio should be given another year to get a quarterback. This isn't going to be a classic, but I think the Raiders' offense is just such a mess at the moment. Javonte Williams, I would expect. Drew Lock is going to play, so I'd expect you will see the Broncos run the ball a lot this weekend.
8 games this season, the Broncos have held teams to 17 points or less. I agree with Colin on that side of things. I can see them doing the similar scenario in this game. But it's the Drew Lock situation for me. I've no faith in him. Like last weekend, he comes in, he throws that touchdown, he's on a crest of a wave, and then he does that incredible fumble. Let's be honest, it was terrible. And like on Monday night, the Raiders defense played well, and the way I look at it, they played well against a quarterback that struggled. When he was at 49ers, and obviously used the third string for the Browns. Now they kept him in. They lost. The Browns lost the game 16-14, and the Raiders held that Browns team to 14 points, and it wasn't a great offense to play against. So I could see a scenario where Locke would struggle, and I think it's similar enough to the way Colin foresees a low-scoring game, someone coming out at the right end of a late field goal, and I'm going to side with the Raiders because I still think Derek Carr, despite his inconsistencies, he's lost to 17 teams who've only had 7 wins. So we've had 7 wins or more in a season. I'll side with the Raiders. I'm not convinced. I can see an argument as to why the Broncos will win as well. I just think Derek Carr. You're asking which quarterback I trust, despite Derek Carr's inconsistencies this year. I think the Raiders will find a way to get it done. But even at home this year, they've struggled. They seem to do better on the road at times. Just about Raiders low-scoring game. But I can put up arguments as to why the Broncos will win.
Mark is going with the Raiders. I like the Raiders in this game. Pains me to say I don't see how Drew Lock's going to go to Vegas and put the points up that he needs to. Vegas, albeit apart from that Bengals game, are putting up points somehow each game in Vegas. I'm saying Vegas because I don't like the Raiders and I don't like to say the word the Raiders, but when you have Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr there, I think they will score over 21 points in the game, which means the Broncos won't. I can't see how Drew Lock's going to do that. Even if he does hand it off to Javonte Williams, eventually that will be found out in the game. And I think if this Broncos team goes to 7-8, then that has to be it for Vic Fangio. That's not acceptable. He's had 3 years in the job. But then again, if they win, there may be a lick of a chance. But you're relying on the Chargers to lose a lot, one of the last two. You're relying on the Chiefs to mess up. It's not going to happen. And it pains me to say it, but I'm picking the Raiders.
I think the only way Fangio will hang on is if he finishes with a winning record. And if they were to lose this game, they would, correct me if I'm wrong, they would have to be the Chargers and the Chiefs to finish 9-8. Yeah. That's realistically, that's a big ask. Even if they were to go split those games, you're still finishing 8-9, and that kind of cements the situation, which Colin and yourselves, in fairness, have called out time and time again, that unless he's getting them to release the wildcard game, the likelihood is he wouldn't be back. But again, as you said, you made the point, if they were to win this game and somehow the Steelers were to beat the Chiefs, all of a sudden it's very much back in the melting pot, So in terms of who wins the division and other games we played, but it's a big ask at this stage. I think last week was a crucial game. We touched on last week, 2 7-6 teams at the time. One of them was going to come out in 6. It had to be for the Broncos to make that push. It had to be that game.
The next game is the Washington football team against the Cowboys. Who have you got, boys? Colin, who have you got?
I think the Washington football team just have been, again, decimated by injuries. COVID has hit hard. And whilst the Cowboys have all sorts of struggles on offense, and, Zeke is really, really looking limited currently. Dak just hasn't got it going since coming back in. The defense has just played kind of so well, and Washington can make it gamey. They hang around in games even when they haven't played particularly well. So I think they'll make life very difficult for the Cowboys. But I'm going to say that when it's in Jerry's world, that the Cowboys will have enough to overcome a Washington team that is really, really badly hit by injuries and COVID. And even if they're getting guys back, they won't have practice. It's just a difficult situation.
We see in all divisions where a team goes on the road in the divisional game, wins, and then they lose the home game. But when the teams play each other 2 of the 3 weeks, and what I mean by that is only a fortnight ago, the Cowboys played in Washington, and 2 weeks later they're playing the same team. 72% of it says 72% turnaround rate where the team wins both games. It's very hard to see how Washington can struggle last week in terms of going and playing on a Tuesday, players out, and then having to be ready to play a Cowboys team and try capture what happened 2 weeks ago in a quick turnaround like that. So for me, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys will be well up for it. The division is over, by the way. They have the division won. People were saying during the week, is it over? It is over. They're confirmed as champions of the division. It's more so now about a run for the second seed, which kind of works out in a way, because I said 3 or 4 weeks ago, my only concern for the Cowboys would be if they were to win the division so early leading into the end of the season, which you could say they have done. Will they have much to play for? Well, they've got a second seed to play for now, and that will give them a home game and potentially another home game. So Cowboys will know that this is a big one and they'll go and win this game.
Absolutely. I'm taking the Cowboys in this game. I'm not taking the Washington football team in any way whatsoever here. I can't see how they're going to win the game. I'm going to take the Cowboys. And let's look ahead to the last game here. We got the Saints and the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Who you got, Colin?
Well, this is a game where the Saints are now on their 4th QB of the season, which is quite something when you consider that. But if there's anyone who can make magic happen, it's Sean Payton. I mean, what the whole Brady scoreless, the defense was ferocious. It really was. And this is going to be a really, really interesting defensive battle. I mean, this is, Destruction Derby meets chess, because this Flores, Payton, both of those defenses going up against one another. It's going to be a great test for Tua to see where he is going up against this defense. Given the situation, the Dolphins should win it, but I just think that there's something about this Saints team this year that doesn't make any sense. They should have lost to the Packers in the opening week, and they didn't. They should have. There's no way they should have beaten the Bucs 9-0. They should lose this game, but I'm going to back them to win.
You could probably say they shouldn't have won the first time round. I know it's in there as Saints, Michael, but no, I'm going with the Dolphins. Obviously, the news today that Ian Book is going to be the quarterback coming out of Notre Dame, 4th round pick. Because of the COVID situation, I find it hard to see how, whatever about a rookie starting, having had a week to prepare, he's only had 3. He's going to have 3 days. Okay, he's fortunate the game's on Monday night. So the Dolphins, let's not forget the Dolphins are going for 6 in a row, 7 in a row. And I would have been with the Saints, but this is a big game changer for me. I think the Dolphins will win. It'll be the first time they've beaten them since 2005, but I believe the Dolphins will win. So you can amend those graphics in your own time. Dolphins for me.
Absolutely. I'm taking the Dolphins as well, boys. I think that's us for now. Boys, I want to thank you all for coming on. Merry Christmas. Not like Hannah. It's been a great year. Looking forward to next season, just to the rest of the season as well. And appreciate you all. Hope you have a lovely Christmas, everyone watching. Thank you so much as well. That's every game, Brian. Back, Colin, 2nd of January.
Well, first back the night of the first. Obviously, look, there's the LT interview. Brian might say a couple of words on that, but yeah, happy Christmas, everyone. Hope Santi is good. Enjoy the festivities. Enjoy the football, and we will look forward to talking to everyone in 2022.
When I reached out and told Colin we were getting LT on, he jumped to conclusion. He thought it was Lawrence Taylor. I unfortunately had to break the news to me. It was in fact Lawrence Tynes. But for me, Lawrence Tynes is one of the greatest. Kicked 2 game-winning field goals in overtime. It doesn't matter whether you're a Giants fan in the NFL, wherever you support. It was a really enjoyable interview. He's originally from Scotland. He's a big Celtic fan. He nearly signed for Rangers until his family took him over to America. And unfortunately, he ended up playing for the red and blue, but he won 2 Super Bowls. Listen, great interview. Thanks for everybody for all your support during the year. Many more episodes ahead. Happy Christmas, guys, and we'll see you all next week on New Year's Day.
Monday night, 10 o'clock, Lawrence Tynes. Don't miss it. Can't wait to see Brian's face. Haven't watched it back. See you then. Have a lovely Christmas, lads. See you later.
Happy Christmas.